Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Not Your Average Co podcast. I'm your host, Hannah Ratliff, and we are taking on Season 2, 2024 in a brand new studio, which is so exciting. I hope all of you all are lining out your resolutions. You may already have them lined out. I hope you're taking on 2024 with so much gratitude, with your head held high and your heart full of happiness. And speaking of gratitude, we had a very special person come and speak for CSI. And with that, he shared his story with us. And so to do something a little different to kick off Season 2, we would like to share that with you. His name is Patric Young. You may know him from playing basketball at the University of Florida, or you may have already read his new book, Sit to Rise, Turning Your Darkest Pain into Your Brightest Victory. He shares such an inspirational story, and if you don't know it, you should definitely listen to it. But with that, I'm happy to introduce Patric Young.
Let's go!
Good morning, sunshine.
Yeah, buddy.
Let's get the show on the road.
It's truly an honor to be here. Thank you, Flaky's family, so much. We go way back. It's crazy that, as you said, Chris, 30 years old now, and just back at Providence back in 2009, where I got a chance to meet you guys and really changed the course of my life, really changed how I view family, getting to see how you guys love each other, how you raise your family, how you continue to love each other, and how you lead has been such a model for me as a man. So I thank you for that so much. It brings me such honor and nerves right now to be here speaking to you guys, to have this opportunity, because I envisioned this long ago when I was still playing basketball, that one day I'm gonna be speaking to the masses. I'm gonna have an opportunity. I don't know what I'm gonna talk about, but I'm gonna have a message, and I'm gonna let people know this important thing, whatever that thing was. I was gonna share it with the masses, and it was gonna be an important message. In the same way, when I was a basketball player, before games, the importance of visualization, of saying, all right, I know what my job is, I put the work in, but let me put myself into the time machine and think about grabbing the rebounds, blocking the shots, running the floor, run the positions, what I'm gonna say, how I'm gonna react, how I'm gonna celebrate when I dunk on somebody. You know, things like making free throws. That one didn't work out for me as much. 50% lifetime career shooter, but you know, hey, we won a lot of games, so we'll just talk about that. But in all seriousness, I never envisioned that I'd be talking to you guys from this position, that in the middle of a life change, that I'm having a message to share that, hey, just because you're in the middle of a crisis or the circumstances are not what you envision them to be, it doesn't mean, not to say it doesn't mean anything, it doesn't mean that your choice of how you're going to live your life has been taken away. And I'm just so grateful that I get an opportunity to share that with you guys, because majority of my life, as you can see, upper body wise, I have a lot of strength. I get joked on about that a lot. It's like, do you still lift, bro? That I get that all the time. And the thing is, it's like, I rely on my physical strength, my physical appearance, just my ability of being able to do things, because I've been blessed with a God-given talent and ability that's made it a little bit easier for me at times. I'm not gonna lie, you know, being 6'9" in high school, and even though it wasn't the most coordinated, definitely made it a little bit easier for me to get a college scholarship and for me to have the chance to make it to the next level in college and whatnot. But you know, going through this situation where the reality of my mortality was thrown right in front of my face, my physical strength was stripped away from me. It was taken away, and it put me to a place to say, all right, without having any of those things, who are you? What are you going to do? Where is your life going to mean now that you're not who you thought you were? Now that you realize that who you envisioned yourself to be doesn't mean that you can't do those things. As I was just saying, life is not linear. You know, the goal for me still is here of being a great man, a father, is shifted. I face some adversity, but I realize that vision tells you where you're going. Adversity says it's not going to be easy, and resilience says how you're going to get there. So there's three basic things that I want to share with you guys today, because for us, we live in a world right now where there's so much division. People have their opinions on all types of things, on this, on that, whatever it may be, but no one has a divisive opinion on death. It is Father Time is undefeated. We are all going to face that, and me just being in a position where I've gone through this life-changing crisis where I possibly couldn't be here right now has affected me so much to live in the present and the right now and the things that I can't control. So there's three primary things that I want to share with you guys today. I'm going to elaborate on each one of those. The first one is based on, they're all based on life experiences that I've had recently, so I'm really excited to share them with you because it's just so much more meaningful when you get to share something that you really experienced. It's not something that I've heard from somebody else. Like, I've lived this, and I'm so excited I can share with you. So the first thing I call it is, the seeds you water will blossom. The second one is, the chair is not the solution. And the third one is, one day and someday do not exist. So let me tell you a little bit about myself first before I dive in and tell you my story, how I got into this chair, all those fun little details. As said before, I'm from Jacksonville, Florida, born and raised. I love my town, I love this city. I love my parents. They're still together, married 36 years now. I'm so grateful for them. Had the opportunity of playing. Baseball was actually my first sport. I thought that was going to be it for me. I love baseball. I actually threw a perfect game once when I was 12 years old, which, a true perfect game. No walks, no hits, nobody on base. I'm proud of that moment. But if you know my story, it didn't work out for me. I ended up playing basketball. I was All-American. I was getting recruited all over and decided to go to the University of Florida to play for Billy Donovan. And to sum up, my experience of being at college, as we know, before we go to college, we somewhat are sheltered, right? We live under the home of our parents, where we have rules and guidelines and things that we kind of don't really know what the world is like yet. And I can remember it like it was yesterday that Mark Brunell came to my alumni chapel at Providence, and he had a message on identity. And he said, if you don't know who you are, this world is going to eat. You turn the TV on for a second, the world is going to try to tell you who you are and give you a label if you're not rooted in knowing who you are. So when I got to college, and I no longer was under the umbrella of my parents, I wasn't rooted, as I am now, rooted in my faith of knowing who I am. I was rooted in trying to fit in, trying to be liked. So I compromised myself, and I was so externally motivated versus being internally motivated. And that was one thing that truly affected how I viewed myself, how I valued myself, how I lived my life. And the thing is, the question you have to ask yourself is, what am I allowing to give me value? If I base my value, if you play basketball, for instance, basketball players, I know we got a few here. Are you basing your value on the fans, on being liked, on what people are saying about you, or like what's driving? Are you driven by what is inside of you? The love of the game, the work that you put in what you do versus because when you allow other people to hold your value, it's going to change. You're going to be so affected by what other people think of you. And that was me. That was me for a while before I figured out, hey, I love this game. I love what I do. I love my coach that I'm playing for. I want to be really good. And when I finally was able to figure that out versus living by these external expectations, I was able to let go of those things and flourish. And you can look at the results. From my freshman year, I almost ended up transferring my freshman year because I couldn't figure it out. I was so I clung to this expectation that the reality of who I was and what people said about me, that things were just going to align and be that way. When it's like, no, you don't. And also within that, I wasn't coachable because I thought that, hey, I know more than Billy Donovan. He he doesn't have anything on me. Like, I'm a McDonald's All-American. I have all these accolades and whatnot. And yet, he's won 2 national championships, sent multiple guys to the NBA. I think he knows what he's talking about. But when we get in that place where we allow people to dictate who we think we are, especially when we're coming into a situation without humility, the result is never going to be good for anyone. So after college, finally started figuring my identity out, that who I wanted to be, the man that I was called to be, the man that I so wanted to be for a long time. I played professionally for some years, played overseas. I played in Turkey, Greece, Italy, and Israel. Fantastic opportunities. I highly recommend in your lifetimes, please get an opportunity to go and travel the world. Experience different cultures, see how people live. It just cultivates such a higher level of gratitude for the human experience, because regardless of where anyone comes from, we are all human beings that just share in this life that is gonna deal with hard things, but also some really good things that we can all just enjoy together. So I finished up playing. I had a bunch of injuries throughout my career. I finished up playing in 2020, and I'm like, what am I gonna do next? I have no idea what I'm gonna do next. And this goes to into the seeds you plant, the seeds that you water. Fortunately for me, my parents did a fantastic job of raising me, and said, hey, I don't care what you end up doing in life, you're going to be kind to people. You're going to treat everybody as equals, and you're going to love people. You're going to care about them. Not for the sense of what you're going to get out of it, just because that's the right thing to do. That you're going to use things and love people, and not the other way around. And so in 2020, I'm trying to figure out, I still want to play basketball. When I play basketball overseas, I'm going for such a long time. There's got to be something else better for me to do that I'm really going to love doing. So fortunately, my relationships back at the University of Florida, because I had treated the SID so well at the time. He's the one that handles all our media stuff and interviews. You know, sometimes you don't want to do interviews at the end of games. It's just like, I just want to go home and enjoy my friends or to play video games or whatever. When he knew I was thinking about retiring, he had no problem when I asked for help for getting to the SEC to make that connection for me. So because of him, I was able to get that opportunity for an interview with the SEC Network, which is now where I am now, one of the dream job, a dream career for me. And then also at my church, because of the relationships I formed there, the people were so willing to help me find opportunities to have the other job that I have right now. And not, again, it's not that I was looking for and thinking that people just owed me anything. It was because they saw how much I actually cared about them and saw them as people. They were willing to go an extra leg and step to help me with my career in life. So all last year, I'm working my first 2 jobs, my first real jobs, and I'm in over my head. This is hard. Hats off to everyone that has been doing this way longer than I have. As a professional basketball player, things are a lot easier than the real world. And that was a reality check for me, let me tell you. Especially now, having a daughter, having to get up so early in the morning every day and making sure that she's taken care of, but it's his life. And I love it now because it makes me a better human being and a more responsible person. So fortunately, I reconnected with my wife in this same year, and I proposed to her in Denver of 2021. And as we're preparing for our wedding on July 11th, she lived up in Nebraska at the time, and I went up to spend time with them as we were cultivating, getting ready for marriage, this next chapter of our life. And after we're gonna get married, we moved back down to Jacksonville. So I was up there, and no disrespect, but parts of Nebraska's kind of boring. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. It's only good for the College World Series and some really good steak. That's literally about it. But fortunately, my wife, she lives right on the golf course. So I was able to play a lot of golf balls up there. I was working remotely, but for my job wasn't demanding, so I had a lot of spare time on my hands. So I decided, hey, I want to do something else to fill my days, because sitting on my hands all day. Like, I'm not a person that likes being idle, just sitting on my hands. So I started doing some work with an irrigation company. And I really enjoyed it. I was getting up early in the morning, just one of those jobs where you get up before the sun, you get back, you're sweaty, you're nasty. It's just like, man, I put some work in today. That felt really good. Just really wanted to mix it up. And just one day, I was driving back after doing a job with my buddy there on the job. And I ended up losing control of my car. And on a dirt road, the car went completely parallel as I went through a stop sign. I was fearful that I was going to hit somebody. Even though it was in a part of Nebraska that there's not a lot of people, I was just worried that somebody was coming on the intersection and would hit my car or I'd hit them. And just all these thoughts going through my mind. But the first thing in my mind was, how can I get out of this situation? How can what do I need to do? It's just complete panic. So my car goes completely parallel to the road and ends up flipping one time over this ditch. And I end up, the car, when it lands back on all four, thank God the car only flipped and rolled over one time, my spinal cord, I felt a pop in my back, in my spinal cord. And immediately I couldn't feel my legs. Immediately I knew that something was wrong. And in this moment, it felt so surreal. It felt as though things were going in slow motion. Like I was in complete disbelief that I'm sitting in this car, I can't move. It just felt as though it didn't make sense. Like, why is this happening to me right now? How did this happen? Let me rewind, let me go back, let's do this again, because this is not the reality of things that are supposed to be. Like, I'm getting married in 10 days, like, this can't be happening. And by the grace of God, I was able to grab my phone and was able to call my wife. And to her credit, I'm on the phone, I'm freaking out. She is just like, babe, calm down, let's pray, it's gonna be okay. We're gonna come get you, don't worry, I'm here, I'm with you, I love you so much, don't worry. And I'm just freaking out. And then I called my mom, of course, and I may have said, and she won't let me forget this, I may have said about 20 or 25 F-bombs. Just saying, they came out. They came out in that moment. I get life flighted from South Dakota, life flight from Nebraska to South Dakota, and I have an 8.5 surgery, an 8.5-hour surgery to repair my back. The surgeon has to put 2 rods in my back and 12 screws to make sure I'm going to have a full recovery with no spinal cord. And I can just remember, before the surgery, I'm like, this isn't real. Why is this happening? This isn't fair. What? Me? Not me. I don't deserve this. Well, I'm getting married, I have so many things going on. And yet, in that time, I just felt such a level of peace because I had an amazing support group around me. It was almost supernatural that I had this feeling of things are going to be okay. And in that time where I'm starting to recover, I was in South Dakota for 2 weeks. The nurse case manager, she came to me and she said, she's been doing this for 20 plus years in a sense of people facing spinal cord injuries from diving accidents, car accidents, you name it. I mean, life hands people hard things, whether no one asks for them, it just happens, that's life. And she said, Patrick, I've been doing this for a long time. And I see how people come through this. And what you need to know is that there's 2 seeds that people get to water every single day of their lives. There's a positive seed and a negative seed. And the people that have been watering that positive seed every day with gratitude, with thankfulness, with whatever those positive things that may be, those are the ones that do a lot better in these situations. Because that plant, when you face a crisis, that the seed that you've been watering is the one that's going to blossom. The decisions that you make every day, the decisions that you make and how you view your circumstances. There's so much that we can't control, right? Every single day. But we can control the way that we perceive things, the way that we decide that we're going to speak about them. So I decided, I was like, you know what? I'm so thankful. Like, I've done a fantastic job for the most of my life. I've gone through some hard things. I've had surgeries. My career didn't go the way that I wanted to, but I've always just pressed forward. I always just said, hey, I trust God. I trust that things are going to work out for the positive. There's so much more than just being a basketball player. I can't wait to see what else. So I said, you know what? I'm going to reframe my mind, and I'm going to choose gratitude. That I'm going to look at this situation and say, this isn't a surprise to God. God didn't for 1 second, and it has never said, oops, I didn't think about that. I have no idea what I'm going to do with Patric's life now. Let me think on that. And I said, no, God knew that I was going to get this job with the SEC Network, that I was going to get married to my wife with me. He knew every step of my life that, hey, I'm going to use you and put you in a position where you have to be 100% dependent on me. And when I reframed my mind and thought about it, believe it or not, I got excited. There was a great, in all truth and honesty, I'm here right now, right? I'm here using this platform that I've been blessed with to speak on choosing joy, choosing gratitude, choosing to not allow your circumstances to take away the control that you have in your life. And when I was able to do that, I was like, you know what? Every part of Patric Young is right here. Physically, things are different. I have limitations. But guess what? There's so much excitement and curiosity for me that I get to cultivate parts of myself that I haven't had before. That I've always just been able to rely on my strength and being able to do things on my own. I've been challenged in such a good way of being closer to my wife and my family, and accepting that, hey, I'm so glad. One thing, I'm so glad that my wife works out. I'm so glad that she works out, because she has been the one moving furniture, doing all the heavy lifting around the house, and part of me does feel like, oh man, I wish I could do that. But at no point, and again, this is what the seeds you plant. What kind of relationships do you have in your life? That my wife has never for a second ever said you're less of a man, that you can't do these things anymore. How are the people that are around you speaking about you, thinking, encouraging you, holding you accountable? My wife, she holds me accountable to the T. To the T. Every single day. Did you do this? And it's not that I can't do these things on my own, but it is so nice knowing that she's not going to let me slack. She's like, do you want to walk? All right, get up and go do that. Go and do this, do that, do whatever it may be. And it's just been so encouraging for me as I've gone through this journey to have people like that in my life. And I want to say, I'm not sure what season of life anybody is in right now, but it's usually one of three. You're either in the middle of a storm, you just come out in one, or you're about to go into one. And I'll tell you this, no season of your life is insignificant, because it is such a blessing to have breath and to be alive. There is no insignificant season in your life. You can always be preparing, practicing gratitude, or whatever it may be. There is nothing, zero part of your life that is insignificant. You may not be where you want to be right now, but you still have life. And that's what I said. I said, I'm not where I want to be, and yet there's still so much hope in where I can go, and there's so much I have to be thankful for. I'm not going to focus on the things that I don't have right now. What's that going to do? It's not going to do anything for me, for anyone. It's only going to bring the people around me down. I said, you know what? I'm going to choose that regardless of my circumstances, I'm going to choose joy. Nothing in my circumstance of not being able to walk has taken away my choice of how I'm going to show up every day. It doesn't take away how my attitude, my effort, my perspective, my behavior. And yes, don't get me wrong. There are days where I'm just like, man, this sucks. I hate the situation. I really don't like where I am right now. But I said, well, you know what? I'm alive. There was a man that, because I have my days sometimes. I was at breakfast the other day at Brooks Rehab, and this gentleman has been in the medical field for about 40-something years. And we were just having a conversation. And he asked me a question that just like shot me right in the eyes. He's like, Patrick, let me ask you something. How many people in the cemetery will switch places with you right now? I said, oh, you got me. I was like, that's all I need to hear. I may not be where I want to be or where I envision my life to be at right now, but I have life and I have so much more ahead of me, as we all do. We may not be exactly where we want to be, but it doesn't take away our choice in the day, in the moment. And, excuse me 1 second. And love him or hate him, Kobe Bryant, he had a quote that I just love, that it just gets, every time I think about it, it just really gives me more perspective on life. Because he was doing an interview with Jay Shetty, and Jay Shetty was like, Kobe, how do you stay motivated? How do you, when you're in the middle of a workout, I know it's hard, you have such great expectations for yourself. He says, I don't negotiate with myself. I don't negotiate with myself, because we can be our own worst enemies at times, can we not? We can say, hey, I'm gonna start strong, I'm gonna do this thing, and then, oh man, I didn't get enough sleep, oh man, I'm a little sore today, whatever it may be, we just negotiate with ourselves and cut ourselves short of the goal and expectation and plan that we initially had. And before you know it, you negotiate with yourself once, then twice, then again, and that's why in the beginning of the year when we make these resolutions, the gym is full. That first week, that first month, and then, oh man, I didn't get enough sleep, I'm not going the next day, and then you just find the excuse after excuse. You have to make it, everything that we do in life deals with our decisions. So I challenge myself and I challenge you all to make a decision that whatever your goal is, whatever thing that you want to do and strive to be, don't negotiate with yourself. You have to decide that, hey, I'm not going to let anything else get in the way of this goal that I have. And in those goals you have, make it an identity-based goal. I highly recommend the book Atomic Habits, by the way. If you haven't read that book, it changed my life, because he used, for example, if you want to become a healthier person, you want to lose weight, lose 10 pounds. You don't just say, all right, when I lose these 10 pounds, I'm done. You say, no, I am going to become a healthier person. So allow myself to act as though a healthier person is going to be. Like, I don't like the phrase, fake it till you make it. I like the phrase, act as though it is. Act as though you are that thing right now. Because, and this is an example of basketball. You hear the phrase all the time, be a pro. Be a pro, you need to be a pro. And it's like, what does that mean? It means you show up every day in practice, every day outside of practice, doing the things that a professional athlete would do. That's the way you eat, the way you look at film, the way you shoot your free throws, the way you take coaching, and use whatever analogy you want, but whatever that thing is that you want to be better at, you be that right now. And the results will come. You start working towards that versus just saying, all right, one day. The basis of that story is that we can't do everything. We can't expend ourselves in a season and thinking that we're going to be able to do everything that we want to do. That there's only so much time and only so much energy we have, so we can focus ourselves to whatever we think we're called to in that season, whether we're producing fruit at that time or not, that we're going to produce the best fruit when we can hone in and focus on where we are. And I just love that so much that it just inspired me, like, hey, for me right now, my biggest focus is my recovery, my family, and my job. And understanding I need to do those things, especially with my family, and do those things the best. And then another season will come, next year will come, and I'll focus on whatever those things are next. But for you, I don't know what that thing is in your lives that you just need to focus on right now. Focus on just planting the seed, watering it, but you have the choice of doing that every day. And I want to thank you guys for the opportunity to come out and speak with you, share my story. But I'm just so encouraged to have this platform, to have life, to have breath, to give this time to you all.
If Patric's speech resonated with you and you would like to purchase his book, it is now available on Amazon. We will tag the link down below. It goes over more on how to embrace your setbacks and take your challenges head on. I am going to send you home with just a little bit of homework though. With that, I want you to comment below or message us directly something that you're grateful for taking into 2024. So the gratitude that you're taking into 2024, anything, it could be anything and everything. I know that I am grateful to have my family and friends going into 2024, that everyone is happy and healthy. So I hope that continues all throughout the year. With that is the end of our first episode of season 2. I want you all to keep tuning in to learn why CSI Companies is not your average co. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of our episodes. Make sure to follow us on all social media at CSI Companies, and we will see you next time. Bye, everyone.